Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of WWE SummerSlam Sunday 2025. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. We have a lot to discuss. Now, before I get started with Sunday, there is a leftover super chat from Saturday from Caleb. Caleb Jacobs sent in a $6.01 super chat and said, Gunther made CM Punk look like a superstar. Gunther made CM Punk look good, but CM Punk made CM Punk look good. That's all I have to say about that. I think both of them brought out the best in each other, and it was a hell of a main event to close out night one. Shout out to Psycho Jet Black, who sent in a $2 super chat. Psycho, I will get to your super chat at the end, so stay tuned. Super chats are much appreciated. If you are going to send one about the main event, keep in mind I will be saving that when I talk about the main event. I'll be saving that until I get to the main event. Just a little heads up. Mr. Penguin sent in a $5 super chat, says SummerSlam should go back to being one day. I tend to agree with you on that one. I've said this many times. I feel like if any other event should be 2 nights, it should be the Royal Rumble. Just my take. I think it would be nice to have the men's and women's Rumbles on separate nights. Now, here's an interesting one. JJ sent in $2 and said, All In or SummerSlam? Well, I'll have to think about that one a little bit. I'll give my final thoughts at the end. All In had a lot of great moments, but so did SummerSlam. Both shows were great, I will say that. All In was definitely too long, though. That's the thing. I might have to give the edge to SummerSlam, interestingly enough, because it was spread out to 2 nights. So there you go. I'll give it to SummerSlam just for being 2 nights. All In was too long. Still a great show, though. But as far as my own personal enjoyment goes, I like the fact that it's 10 o'clock here and I haven't been watching wrestling for 6 hours. That's nice. Let's get to the recap. We opened up the show with a triple threat match for the Women's Championship over on Monday Night Raw. We had Naomi defending her title against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Naomi's entrance included her father playing guitar. I thought that was a cool intro for Naomi to have her father out there. Very nicely done. Match itself was pretty good. Solid opener for the show. I enjoyed it. I will say this, though. I don't think it was at the level of the WrestleMania Triple Threat. The WrestleMania Triple Threat was excellent. This was pretty good, but I think it fell a little bit short of that match. I don't know if they were trying to recreate the magic of that match. That match had Bianca Belair in it. This one had Naomi. This was still very good, but I think the WrestleMania one was just a bit better. Now, Naomi was trying to be the cowardly heel. She was trying to have the other 2 fight, but of course they went after her. And then eventually they went after each other. It's triple threat. It's every woman for themselves. And each one got in a good amount of offense during the match. Pins were broken up. You had several finishers delivered. Rhea did the riptide to Naomi, but Io broke it up. And then Io ended up powerbombing Rhea onto Naomi on the outside of the ring. And then back in the ring, Rhea did an avalanche riptide to Io, but then Naomi rolled up Rhea and got the 1-2-3 victory. So Naomi took the fall. Or not Naomi, Rhea Ripley took the fall in this one. She was the one that got pinned by Naomi. Granted, it was a roll-up, but still. Rhea was pinned by Naomi. no surprise here. Naomi winning the match was very expected, at least for me, because next in line is Stephanie Valkyria, and naturally you would have a babyface versus a heel. You could always change it up, but Naomi just won the title. There was no sense in her losing right away. I was fine with that. It was a pretty good match to start off SummerSlam Night 2. Next up, we had a wild ladder match, TLC match, more specifically, for the WWE Tag Team titles. We had the Wyatt Six defending against Andrade and Rey Fenix, DIY, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits. 6 teams. And it was a spectacle. They went out there and they had a great TLC match. Now, the daytime entrance for the Wyatt Six, it just didn't really feel right. And the Street Profits have terrible music. Actually, most of the theme songs are bad, but once the action got started, it was hot. It was a great match. We had a lot of table bumps in this one. At one point, we had like a series of table bumps, one move after another. And even Candice LeRae got involved. And she tried to climb up a ladder for DIY, and B-Fab stopped her. Then Nikki Cross got involved. Even though we already had, 12 guys in this match, then we had the women getting involved. And DIY accidentally knocked Candice off the ladder, and Candice crashed through a ladder that was set up as a bridge on the outside of the ring. And that was crazy. We had those table spots. The highlight was maybe Axiom putting Dawkins through a table with the Spanish Fly. Crowd was chanting, holy shit, at that one. They did like four consecutive table bumps during the match. And then later on, we had interference from the rest of Wyatt Six. We had Eric Rowan getting involved, and the Profits ended up putting Rowan through a table. And then Ciampa, this was the highlight of the match. Ciampa was up grabbing the titles, but, he's holding on to the thing that holds the titles. And you had Nathan Frazier going for the spear, the Edge WrestleMania 17 spear. He was going to recreate that moment, jumping off the ladder with the spear. However, Ciampa managed to lift himself up, so Frazier missed the spear. This was wild. Ciampa has some incredible upper body strength to pull that one off. It was impressive as hell, and it was truly a spectacle. Then you had Ford jumping on a ladder, stopping Ciampa. Then you had multiple teams climbing up the ladders. Then Uncle Howdy interfered, and he sent DIY off one of the ladders, putting them through stacks of tables that were on the outside of the ring. They were out of the equation. Then Andrade did a sunset flip powerbomb to Howdy. And then the Wyatt Six, they had the numbers game. They still managed to recover. And Loomis, Gacy took out the competitors. Loomis was on guard watching. And then Gacy was able to climb up and retrieve the titles. Wyatt Six, still your tag team champions. Tremendous ladder match. It delivered big time. It was a lot of fun, a lot of memorable moments in this one. I say this in streams. It's difficult to come up with unique spots in a ladder match. We've seen just about everything. Ciampa doing that dodging of the spear. I've never seen anything like that before. I loved it. Stuff like that is memorable, and I always give a lot of credit when they can come up with some unique things in a ladder match. And it was just a lot of fun. Never a dull moment in this one. Exactly what you would want out of one of these matches. Just a ton of carnage and nonstop action throughout. Wyatt 6 retain. I'm not surprised about that. I figured they would retain despite the odds being against them, although the crowd was not happy. They were basically the heels of the match, which is interesting how much the crowd loves the Wyatt 6. But yeah, I think the crowd wanted something else, but still, great match here. Definitely a great SummerSlam match as far as I'm concerned. And shout out to Jesse from the Philippines who sent in I'm not sure the currency, 125. Thank you for that, Jesse. Said, 2-day SummerSlam, great show. Shout out here from the Philippines. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching wherever you are. To everybody out there watching live or on demand, I very much appreciate your viewership and support. Glad to have you on, Jesse. Sounds like you enjoyed SummerSlam, as did I. Caleb Jacobs sent in a $2.14 super chat. Thank you, Caleb. Caleb says, Montez Ford is dead. Awesome line from Cole. Cole was on fire tonight. Michael Cole did a great job, as he usually does. Shout out to Michael Cole. Oh, and there was another spot with Ford where DIY tried to throw Ford into a table that was set up in the corner, but Ford managed to counter it by launching himself over the table to the outside onto a bunch of guys. That was another great spot. Again, very creative, something I haven't seen in a ladder match before, and that is tough. That is difficult to do. Anytime they can come up with something unique, I want to make sure that they get the credit for that. Shout out to the Cleaver, Colin Andrew, sent in a $2 super chat, says, don't miss the No DQ review this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Yes, besides me, we got the No DQ panel, and I'm sure there's a lot of varying opinions, maybe some people disagreeing with me. I have some strong thoughts on this show, so I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts this Tuesday, No DQ review. Thank you for that, Colin. And then Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Building Nexus says, where do you think mommy Rhea Ripley goes from here? Well, we do have a show coming up in Australia, Perth, Australia, the Crown Jewel event. I would not be shocked if she is at the very least competing for the title. I don't think Stephanie Valkyria is going to win in her first attempt. I expect Naomi to retain. I'm doing early predictions, but right now, if I had to make a prediction, I say Naomi beats Stephanie at Clash in Paris, and then Rhea Ripley becomes number one contender. Maybe she finally beats Io Sky in a number one contenders match, and then Rhea Ripley wins the title from Naomi in Australia. That's my guess right now, but of course, anything can happen over the next month or so. But that's what I'm thinking. Moving on here, we had Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the women's intercontinental title in a no DQ match. Now, I have to criticize something here that WWE did. I'm mostly positive about the show, but I think they made a mistake booking all of the stipulation matches on night 2. I know night 2 is supposed to be bigger than night 1, but they could have thrown one of the tag matches on this show and put maybe this match on night 1. Really, they should have done the women's tag match on this show and done the no DQ match on night 1, because now we're starting to see spots repeated. They're using chairs again, and they're using tables again. Like, the TLC match had all the cool table spots and chairs and all that stuff. And now you're just doing the same thing in this match. Although they did try to come up with some different stuff. So I am going to give them credit for that. They were brawling all over the place. We had the steel steps being used, and Lyra had a crowbar. But then Becky had a toolbox, and she attacked Lyra with the toolbox and then pulled out a zip tie, and she restrained Lyra. Lyra could not move. And I actually did like this. I saw a comment from Jason about how this was stupid, but I actually liked this because Lyra was able to fight back, and Lyra doing like a moonsault without being able to use her hands, like that looked really physically impressive. So to me, that makes her look like an even greater athlete than she already is. So I thought that was a good idea, although there was some dead air where Lyra was trying to free herself and couldn't do it, and she ended up going under the ring and eventually got herself free from that. Then Lyra did the Nightwing to Becky on the floor, and then we had the turnbuckle exposed. Lyra got sent into it. Becky hit the manhandle slam onto 2 chairs. Lyra kicked out of that, and then they fought back on the outside, and then Becky took a chair and wrapped it around Lyra and stomped on the chair, and then Becky had the crowbar. She was going to hit her with the crowbar, but then Bayley showed up. So yeah, we got Bayley appearing as I figured she would, and she took the crowbar. Becky wanted Bayley to use the crowbar, but Bayley did not do it, and Bayley attacked Becky. However, Becky managed to fight off Bayley, and then Lyra got back into the mix. Lyra put Becky through a table, got her back in the ring, but then Becky got on the apron and took a swing at Becky. However, she accidentally hit Lyra, and then Becky was able to pin Lyra with the manhandle slam, thanks to Bayley accidentally hitting Lyra. So yeah, we got the shenanigans in this one. No heel turn from Bayley, as I was expecting, but Bayley did cost Lyra the match. So we'll see where that goes. I figured Becky would retain the title just because you can do Becky versus Bayley and you can do some other matches. It was a good showing for Lyra. The 2 issues. Number 1, doing the stuff with the chairs and the tables when we already had that in the previous match. And then number 2, my other issue, the crowd just did not seem to be into this match. Now, apparently, there was a real fight in the crowd. There were people brawling or something. I blame the lack of crowd heat on this one for the fact that the buildup was kind of weak. I hate to say it. You know, Lyra's promos haven't exactly been lighting the world on fire. And yeah, the crowd seemed pretty disinterested in the match, and that definitely hurt it. But I do think it was good overall. I just think it would have been better off on night 1 as the only hardcore match per se. Now let's get to a couple of super chats here. Yes, so here's a spoiler alert. I'm jumping ahead here a little bit. Jesse said with a 50, whatever the currency is, they didn't pull the heel trigger on Cody. No, they didn't, but spoiler alert, the crowd did boo Cody a lot during the match. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. Thank you, Jesse. And Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Becky Lynch versus Stephanie Valkyria after Clash. That, I think, is a good idea. I think it's too soon to put the title on Stephanie. Let her work her way up the ladder. So yeah, maybe she comes up short against Naomi, but then she can feud with Becky Lynch and maybe win the women's IC title, and that can be the stepping stone for her. You know, there's no need to rush with her. Same thing with Braun Breaker. You know, they've been taking their time with him. He didn't come in and just win the world title a month in. You know, they put the IC title on him, and they slowly built him up to the top. I think that's a good process for Stephanie. Maybe have her come up short in her first attempt, but then later win the title from Becky Lynch. All right, next match. We had Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu for the U.S. title. I thought this was kind of a lackluster cage match. It was all right, but very standard cage match. And I mean that not just the actual match, but the finish and the shenanigans as well. Because guess what? Cage match, it's supposed to keep people from interfering. Nope. Doesn't happen. Every single cage match, it feels like in WWE, there is some sort of outside interference. It's like, it's so obvious. So they had their stare down, they exchanged blows, and they would send each other into the cage, all the usual stuff. And then Fatu started no-selling after being tossed into the cage. And then he did 2 moonsaults. Solo kicked out of the moonsaults. Then we had the MFT show up. What a shocker, right? They surround the ring, and then Jimmy Uso is out there. Solo gets the upper hand, does the Samoan spike. Fatu kicks out of that. And then here's another thing where they repeat from the previous match. Remember the zip tie with Lyra Valkyria being restrained? Well, they did another restraining spot in this match. They had handcuffs, and Fatu was handcuffed to the cage, so he couldn't stop Solo from winning. But guess what? Fatu just broke it, so it didn't even work. Fatu broke free, and then he was on the verge of winning. But then it's cliche, every single cage match, the door gets slammed in his face. Talatonga, the big guy, kicks the door in Fatu's face, and then Solo just falls to the floor and wins the match. I hate to say it, but it's pretty much exactly what I expected. Like, I thought on paper this was the weakest match of night 2, and well, I think it was the weakest match of night 2. And then after the match, Fatu got his heat back. He beats up the MFTs, the lower tier guys. He beats up JC Mateo and Tonga Loa. Then he climbs to the top. And this is one of the spots I just hate. I know it looks good, but Solo, he's gone. Jacob climbs up the cage, and then you have JC Mateo and Tonga Loa just standing there waiting for the catch. And he comes off with the moonsault off the top of the cage. I mean, it's a spectacular move. You know, you want to do something crazy for SummerSlam, but I just hate when you can see the two guys standing there waiting for the move. You know, they really got to do better camera shots to not make it look so obvious to the viewers at home. I don't know. I love and hate these types of spots. They look great, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why don't these guys just move out of the way? And they did the same thing in the women's triple threat too. I forgot to mention that. They did the same thing where Io does a crossbody, and Rhea Ripley and Naomi are just standing next to each other, just looking up at looking up at Io for the crossbody. And I'm like, just move out of the way. So yeah, not a big fan of those spots. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, I'm done until Paul is gone. End of story. Paul Triple H. So Hamp, apparently not a big fan of this show. It is what it is. But thank you, Hamp. And Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, could Jacob Fatu join with Roman Reigns at some point? He could, but I don't think he needs to. Jacob Fatu is doing great on his own. If they're building him up to be a top star, he really doesn't need to be in an alliance or a group at this point. So maybe on a special occasion you could reunite them, but for the most part, I think Jacob is better off as a lone wolf type of character. All right, moving on here. We had Dominik Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the IC title. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good match, and it was basically a tribute to Eddie Guerrero. It was a nice match in his honor. AJ Styles came out on a lowrider with his son. That was cool. And he also had Guerrero-inspired gear, and he had a T-shirt like Eddie Guerrero's Latino Heat T-shirt. I loved this. This was awesome. And also during the match, they were doing Eddie Guerrero spots. You know, it was back and forth here. Pretty standard match. I mean, it could have been on a Raw, but I liked the tribute to Eddie Guerrero. And then they did the spot where Dominic got the referee distracted with the turnbuckle and then pulled out a chair, made the sound, but AJ Styles wasn't stupid. He knew what was happening here, and he wrapped the chair around his neck, and then the referee was just confused, not knowing what the hell was going on. Match continued, and then they paid a little tribute to WrestleMania 20. So WrestleMania 20, Eddie Guerrero beat Kurt Angle. He loosened his boot, and when Kurt Angle went for the ankle lock, the boot got pulled off. And same thing happened here. Dominic loosened the boot got pulled off when the calf crusher was applied, and then Dominic took the boot, and with the referee once again distracted, he used the boot as a weapon and then pinned Styles with the frog splash. So yeah, it was essentially a Raw match, but with the Eddie Guerrero stuff thrown in. I liked it. I enjoyed it for SummerSlam. And, you know, it's basically the 20-year anniversary of the custody of Dominic ladder match with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. So I thought it was cool 20 years later to do a little throwback match in honor of Eddie Guerrero. I liked it. Shout out to Jason M, who sent in a $2 super chat. I'm not responding to this, but I'll read it. Pimping lucha culture while being super MAGA, LOL. I have no further comment on that, but thank you for that, Jason. Everybody's got their opinions and takes on things. I'll just leave it at that. All right, guys, let's move on to the main event, and we'll see how many people agree. Maybe a lot will, maybe many will disagree with me on this one. If you read my social media, you probably know where I stand on this match. So our main event of the show, the old John Cena, the real John Cena, going up against Cody Rhodes in a street fight for the WWE Championship. John Cena came out there full-blown, never give up, Cena entrance, and Cody Rhodes had a special tribute to Dusty Rhodes. They had narration from Dusty on the screen with the voiceover in the arena or the stadium. With Cody Rhodes coming out there to the Dusty tribute, that pretty much, in my mind, made me think, okay, Cody's not turning here. You know, we were talking about that as a rumor. Would Cody maybe sell his soul to The Rock on this show? Would he go heel? Would we get the double turn? I ruled that out when Cody came out there with the Dusty tribute. No way they're doing that. I mean, that would be really diabolical to pay tribute to Dusty and then have Cody turn heel. But my feeling was Cody's not going to go that far. You know, he honors his father's legacy, and he's not going to mess around. So I pretty much ruled out the Cody turn at this point. Cena was massively over as a babyface. He got cheered. Cody was getting booed. And I will say this. This is the match they should have done at WrestleMania. To me, this was an all-time classic. I think it was not only one of the best John Cena matches of his career. I mean, close to the best. I put it up there with the CM Punk match from Money in the Bank. This was epic. This is what a WWE title match should be. The two best in the world going at it and giving it everything they got in an all-out war. This was a war. They did everything. And considering John Cena's age, I was impressed as hell with his performance. John Cena could have gone out there and done the heel shtick and coasted along and just done a basic match. You know, we kind of got that with Randy Orton and even CM Punk. You know, they didn't do a whole lot. But Cena, his working shoes were on for this match. And, you know, it had incredible heat. You know, it had the heat of a WrestleMania match like Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. I mean, the fans were unglued for this match. Unbelievable heat. And these guys were busting their asses in this one. And, you know, again, the only negative, if I had to say anything bad, would be, again, you had hardcore matches earlier in the show, so they're using chairs and tables again. You know, they shouldn't have had all these stipulation matches with the weapons when they're going to be doing it in the main event. But yeah, they fought all over the ringside area, and it was moving at a good pace. And you know, they actually fought in the crowd for a while, and then they were back by the stage. Cena used the guardrail on Cody as a weapon, and then a really creative spot they did in the match. So Cody rose up for his entrance, right? The old elevator. And they had Cena and Cody fight under the stage, and then Cena rose up from the elevator with Cody on his shoulders. I loved that. That is a memorable moment at SummerSlam. Like, we'll always remember that, Cody doing that. And it got a huge pop from the crowd. It was creative. I love stuff like that. When they can do something outside of the box and do something we haven't seen. Like that visual, you don't see stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that a lot. And, you know, they fought back at ringside. Cena put Cody through the table with the AA. Cody started getting desperate. Each guy was trying to beat the other guy with all of his moves. We got the kick outs, but guess what? This isn't just a random pay-per-view. This is SummerSlam. This is for the WWE title. So these are the matches where I feel like you can justify the excessive use of finishers and the kickouts. The problem is, over the years, WWE is guilty of it, and AEW is certainly guilty of it, with guys kicking out of everything, and it waters it down. But these are the times you should be saving these types of moments for the big shows in the high-profile main event matches. This is when you do this stuff, not on a random-ass pay-per-view in the third match. And unfortunately, we get that kind of stuff way too often. But yeah, Cena was getting desperate, and then Cody started getting desperate. Cody ended up taking off the rod from the corner, you know, the turnbuckle rod, and the rope was pulled down. And then Cody used that rod as a weapon, but then Cody tried to finish off Cena. Cena got on the STFU, and this was kind of a throwback to the Umaga match from 2007 at the Royal Rumble. Cody's got the ring rope, and he's trying to choke Cody with it. Then Cody's countering him. And then Cena got Cody on the top rope. He did an avalanche attitude adjustment, went for the cover. Cody kicked out. Then Cena went to deliver another one, this time putting Cody through a table. So we had another table. However, Cody countered it. Cody gave Cena a cutter through the table. And then Cody, as Cena was struggling to get to his feet, this felt a lot like WrestleMania. Now I'm forgetting the number. 24. WrestleMania 24. Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. When Shawn Michaels does the "Sorry, I love you," and then super kicks him. So Cody's doing the same thing here. He does the salute to John Cena like he has to put him down. This is a guy he respects. They hugged before the match. Cena hugged him. They had a show of respect, and then they got to the fighting. But John Cena lived up to his word. He brought the old John Cena, gave him everything he had, and Cody gave him the salute, basically saying what Shawn said to Ric Flair, I'm sorry, I love you, but I have to finish you off. And that's what he did. He hit the final crossroads after many crossroads didn't work. He hit the final one and got the 1-2-3 victory. Now, people, I see some mixed feelings on it. I saw somebody say, like, the crowd hated it. And yeah, I think the crowd wanted a win from John Cena, but John Cena's on his way out. Cody Rhodes is your guy. He's going to be your guy for several years. John Cena only has 4 months left. So it is like Hogan and The Rock and Rock and John Cena, where the old lion is putting over the young lion. And that's what it was. And I loved this. I thought this finish was brilliant. Cody Rhodes gets the win over John Cena. And it was a fair fight. I loved this because we didn't have all the BS interference that we get in just about every single WWE title match. Like, think about it. Going back to Roman Reigns over the past several years, all those bloodline matches ending with the interference. Like, you never just see a WWE title match end clean. And yeah, it was a street fight, anything goes, but we didn't have The Rock coming out there or some kind of BS with 5 or 6 people running down. We just had 2 guys having an epic fight, brawling all over the arena, and only one man comes out on top in the end. So to me, I thought that was brilliant. I loved it. It elevates the title. It elevates Cody Rhodes. It elevates John Cena. John Cena goes down the fighting old lion, but he put up a great fight. Excellent match. And again, it's up there for me. John Cena's best match, CM Punk, Money in the Bank, but this is right up there with it. And to me, this is one of the best SummerSlam main events of all time. Just a tremendous performance from both guys. I was fully invested in it from start to finish. And I think Cody winning was the right call here. Now everybody's wondering, well, what's next for John Cena? So let's get to that now. Post-match, Cody was emotional, celebrating the WWE title victory. And John Cena gets up. He hugs Cody. Cody's crying. And Cena raises his hand, puts him over. Cody celebrates as champion as the fireworks go off. You know, very similar to when Hogan raised The Rock's hand and The Rock raised Cena's hand, and now Cena's raising Cody's hand. You know, it all ties together, and it was beautiful. Then we have Cody leave. So John Cena can get his farewell. And Cena's getting the standing ovation, the thank you, Cena. And it kind of felt like maybe this was the end. I'm thinking, is Cena just going to be done early? Like, surely he's not. Like, what else is he doing, though? Like, we don't know what's next for him. They didn't do the double cross where he went back to being a heel. So I guess that heel run is over. But then it all made sense. Brock Lesnar is back, and the crowd just came completely unglued. Brock Lesnar came out there, and John Cena, of course, is not going to back away, but he just went through hell. Brock Lesnar gives him the F5, leaves him laying, and now this means we get one more John Cena versus Brock Lesnar match. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar on the retirement tour was not on my bingo card for this year. I didn't think they would bring back Brock Lesnar before this Vince McMahon lawsuit was settled, but they did it. Will it come back to bite them in the ass? I mean, they might get some negative publicity from the internet, but I think in the end, people forget about it. I mean, where's the outrage for R-Truth and so many other things? You know, people always like to say WWE is terrible. They do this, they do that. And then people just forget about it. So I think that there might be some backlash right now, but the live crowd, they seemed happy that Brock was back. And it was a legit holy shit moment. Even Michael Cole yelled out, holy shit. And that's how I felt. Like, they got me. Nobody predicted Brock Lesnar on this show. I didn't see anything anywhere about Brock Lesnar returning. So they swerved everybody with Brock coming out there. And we get one more Brock versus John Cena match. And we'll probably have Brock versus Cody one more time. Brock put him over 2 years ago, but there could be unfinished business one more time with those guys for the WWE title. And maybe now we finally get Brock versus Gunther, which we were supposed to get a couple of years ago, and it didn't happen. So there's still stuff you can do with Brock Lesnar. What about Brock Lesnar versus Braun Breaker, or Brock Lesnar versus Bronson Reed? I mean, there's a lot of matches you can do with Brock Lesnar. I mean, I definitely think there's one more run in him. The decision to bring him back when there's still an active lawsuit, that's a bit of a risky move. I will say that. But again, I think that there will be some outrage. There will be people angry. But in the end, I think after a couple of weeks, it'll cool off just like everything else cools off. I certainly don't think it's going to hurt WWE's business at all for Brock to come back. The people that hate on WWE will have more ammo, and maybe they're justified with that. But I think in the end, people will let it go, and there will be more people happy that Brock is back than unhappy. And Brock versus Jacob Fatu also. Now let's get to some super chats here. Psycho Jet Black says, Brock Lesnar is still more over than Austin Theory. I agree. I mean, it's pretty easy to be more over than Austin Theory at this point, with all due respect to Austin Theory. But yeah, Brock Lesnar got a massive reaction. If Theory came out there, it would probably be crickets. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. Mike Hunt sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, the most believable guy in WWE is back. Now that's good for business. I mean, I definitely think that there are a lot of possibilities with Brock Lesnar. Like I said, the John Cena match one more time. A match with Cody Rhodes one more time. Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. You got at least 5 matches. And Gunther, 6. You got at least 6 big pay-per-view main event matches you can do with Brock Lesnar if he has one more run. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat, says, maybe Brock Lesnar is back to watch John Cena pee. Well, he may have hit Cena so hard with that F5 that Cena peed himself. Perhaps that's why Brock came back, so he could have a little bit of enjoyment from that. Who knows? I mean, Brock is an interesting individual from what I've heard out there with the rumor and innuendo. Joe Schmo sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Joe Schmo. Joe says, so are we supposed to forget that John Cena was going to ruin wrestling? The entire heel turn feels retconned. Well, here's the thing. I always thought Cena was going to turn back. Like, he wasn't going to end his career as a heel. It just wasn't going to happen. He was going to have his send-off after the heel run ended. And the only surprise to me was doing it on SmackDown. Like, I thought it would happen at a pay-per-view or close to the end, like Survivor Series. So that threw me off a little bit. But with Brock Lesnar coming back, maybe that was a deal they came up with recently. And then they're like, okay, we got to pivot. I mean, Triple H himself always says, we got to pivot. We got to pivot. If something happens, we got to change. So maybe they reached a deal with Brock Lesnar and they're like, well, we got one more chance to do John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Let's do it. And that's what they're doing here. But yeah, the Cena heel turn was very weird. The whole thing, and I blame a lot of it on The Rock leaving and the Travis Scott WrestleMania match. Like, that really hurt the impact of the Cena turn. And what's funny is now WWE is taking shots at Travis Scott. Like, Wade Barrett on the kickoff mentioned Travis Scott ruining WrestleMania. Like, they're not even giving a damn about Travis Scott now. They've been shitting on that guy. And yeah, I guess he had a falling out with the company. The Cena turn, it was weird. It was entertaining at times, but also, just something felt off about it. And I was getting used to it after a while, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be something other than what it was. This guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, this guy. This guy says, I believe I called Brock's return. I got match wrong. I did pick Cody to win just because of the fact that I couldn't see Cody losing twice unless he turned heel. And the heel turn, I did think, well, maybe that could happen. So I was thinking, if Cody's not turning, he has to win. Like, you can't have him lose again. And then he could win with The Rock potentially. So I felt like there was more options for Cody to win. So I ultimately went with Cody, but I could have imagined John Cena winning and doing the double cross and staying heel. I mean, it could have gone either way, but I think they made the right call here. And let Cena go out his last few matches as a babyface, do one more match with Brock Lesnar, maybe a match with Gunther. We'll see what they do. MJ the Dark Horse sent in a $5 super chat, says, so will Cody Rhodes go heel or is it going to get on hold now that Brock Lesnar is back? Well, I don't think Cody's turning. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, they always have that card to play, just like with John Cena. But I mean, Cody rarely gets booed. This was an exception, not the norm. Cody is usually heavily cheered, and the crowd is singing his song. So unless he's getting booed out of arenas on a regular basis, I don't think they're going to seriously consider it. Like, why screw it up if he's still getting the great reactions? Why turn him? I don't see it happening anytime soon. But thank you for the super chat. Roger B with a $2 super chat says, even with the runtime, SummerSlam was not better than All In. LOL. It's all subjective. We all have our opinions on it. Let me go ahead and look at what I have my number for SummerSlam Night 2. So Night 1, I gave a 7. This one was up. I don't think it was perfect, though. I think there were a few issues I had with it. The main event was an all-time great match. The TLC match was great. The rest of it was okay. And then there were a few good things like Dominic and AJ Styles. I'm going to give SummerSlam Night 2 because of the last match and Brock returning and the TLC match. I am going to give it an 8, which is also what I gave All In Texas. So you know what, Roger? If you combine Night 1 and Night 2 of SummerSlam, I gave a 7 to Night 1 and an 8 to Night 2, 7.5. I gave All In Texas an 8. So there you go. I guess All In was a better show if we're going by that logic. But I really liked Night 2 of SummerSlam a lot. But if they had just taken the best matches of each night and did one show, it would have been maybe the best SummerSlam or close to the best SummerSlam of all time. So there you go. But yeah, they spread it out in 2 nights, and then each night had a few not so good segments, filler, whatever you want to call it. But the big moments to me really delivered. But then again, All In had a great moment with Hangman Page winning the title. So each show had their epic moments for sure. Keith Johnson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Keith. Aaron, I thought Brock was on the outs with TKO. Well, he was. I mean, the real issue was they didn't want to use him because his name was mentioned in the Vince McMahon lawsuit. And they were afraid of bringing him back and that creating negative publicity. But clearly they got the okay to bring him back. And WWE's legal team is allowing it to happen. So there you go. Brock Lesnar's back. Alex sent in a $2 super chat. Good question. Whose heel run was better, Steve Austin or John Cena? I will say John Cena, for the fact that Steve Austin's heel turn hurt business. And fans, the difference is fans wanted Cena to turn for years. They've been clamoring for it. People didn't want the Austin turn, and Austin really had to change the character. Cena did a weird version of his character, but you could kind of understand his motivations, even though they pulled the trigger on it too late. You know, it should have been done years ago. But, you know, Cena being frustrated, kind of the same way Hulk Hogan was, like, that made sense. I had mixed feelings about the Cena turn. I did not like the Austin heel turn. There was very little I liked about it. So Cena's turn was better. And also business-wise, Cena's turn was better. But Cena's turn, now that it's over, was not the best by any means. Hulk Hogan still has the best heel turn of all time. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Hamp sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. Hamp says, Paul Levesque, not Triple H. Triple H was great. Fair enough. You like Triple H, the wrestler, the character. You don't like Paul Levesque, the businessman. I get it. It's hard to like a guy in a suit who's running a company and playing politics and meeting up with the president of the United States. I get it. You don't like the guy that's in the suit. Fair enough. Shout out to Building Nexus, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, props to WWE for trying the heel turn, though. Yeah, I mean, it made a great elimination chamber. Like, I loved it. It was an awesome angle. WrestleMania was disappointing. And then the run, the last several months, it had its ups and downs. Like, there were some things I found entertaining, but it was also weird, too. Again, not what I was really expecting from a heel John Cena. I thought they were going to do like a super faction with Cena and The Rock, and maybe they'd have a few guys that they'd recruit, kind of like with what Rollins did with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and kind of do like a little heel faction. And they didn't do that. And then, you know, Cena coming out there with the merchandise, you know, for every city, despite being a heel. Yeah, it was just weird. That's the best way I can say it. Cena's heel turn was weird. Shout out to Keith Johnson, who sent in a $2 super chat. And I'm going to be wrapping this up shortly. So last call if you want to super chat in case I end up shutting off the video and then it doesn't go through in time. So get it in if you want to send one. Keith Johnson sent in $2 and said, Crow Sting, greatest transformation character ever. It's up there. Definitely one of the best, because funny enough, Bleach Blonde Sting, Surfer Sting, he was great for the audience that was watching, but he was not a big draw. Crow Sting, though, I think was a huge hit with fans and also people that were more casual. It drew them in, and it led to some of the best moments in WCW history. Of course, WCW screwed that up, but that's a whole other topic for other videos, and we've talked about it over the years. You know, that Starrcade 97 was a disaster. Bobby Dean sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby says, Brock versus John Cena, Hell in a Cell. You really want to put Cena through the ringer. I wouldn't be opposed to it. One more John Cena Hell in a Cell match before he retires. And I'm trying to remember the last time we saw John Cena in a Hell in a Cell match. It's been a while. I don't think Brock and Cena ever did a Hell in a Cell. I'd be fine with that. But will John Cena want to do one? Because they would have to do a lot of crazy stuff. And I don't know how many more of these types of matches John Cena has left in him. This might have been his last one. Like, I don't know if we're going to get a better John Cena match. We probably won't get a better one before he retires. Shout out to MJ, the Dark Horse, who sent in $2, says, The Rock left to screw John Cena one last time. That's right. And he's like, oh, I'm about leaving it to John Cena, not taking the spotlight from him, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right, Rock. I don't know what the hell that was all about. The Rock came back and teased everybody and then didn't deliver. Didn't deliver on the Roman Reigns match. Didn't deliver on the Cody Rhodes match. You let me down, Final Boss. We wanted to see those matches, and they would have done huge business, but he didn't do it. So it'll be interesting if the real story about what happened behind the scenes ever comes out. Forget about WWE Unreal. I want to know what actually happened with Triple H and The Rock behind closed doors. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Building Nexus. Says, could John Cena go after the IC title at some point? I suppose he could. Dominic's the champion. Dominic's a heel. Yeah, you could. But do you really want to do one of John Cena's last matches against Dominic? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. We'll have to see what they come up with. But yeah, I mean, he never won the IC title. That is a possibility. I'm sure they've considered it. I mean, we've heard some crazy pitches from the WWE Unreal show. Down with OPC sent in a $2 super chat. Says, I thought the New Day would join John Cena. Like as heels? I mean, the New Day, they're not doing anything at this point. Yeah, when John Cena went heel, they could have done that and put them with Cena as part of a super faction. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities with John Cena as a heel. You know, they didn't necessarily need to do a faction, but I felt like they could have done what Austin did with the two-man power trip. Even though I hated the Austin heel turn, like Austin and Triple H, like they could have done that with Cena and The Rock, or they could have put Cena with any number of people, not necessarily the New Day, but they could have gotten them all together and done like a massive power group to take over WWE. Like John Cena said he was going to kill wrestling. Like that might have been a way to do it. But yeah, it felt weird. He was going to leave with the WWE title and everything, you know, going back to that. It was a strange story that they had to come up with. And I feel like they probably didn't put too much into that. I think maybe the original idea was for Cena to just be a babyface the whole year for this last run. And then they pitched the heel turn and they kind of just went on the fly with it. But they tried, you know, John Cena with the belt backwards and, you know, the special ring introduction, like that stuff I did like. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. We went about an hour here. So yeah, a lot to discuss with SummerSlam, and this Tuesday, we'll be talking about it more on the No DQ review. So make sure you guys tune in this Tuesday night. It will be 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Looking forward to that. Make sure you guys tune in. Tell a friend. Spread the word about the No DQ channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. NoDQ.com will keep you updated with the latest news. I'll be back after Monday Night Raw. I'll see you guys then. Have a great night, everyone. Wait a minute. Roger B sent in a $2 super chat. Last one here. Does Rock have heat with WWE? They'll tell you no, but I'm suspicious. I'm always suspicious of things. And, you know, everything that happened in 2024, yeah, I feel like there's egos involved. It's wrestling. And they'll put out a narrative and they'll tell you one thing, but I feel like there's stuff that we don't know about. And I don't know if we'll ever find out what happened or what's still going on, but The Rock's on the TKO board of directors. Wouldn't shock me if Triple H was legitimately pissed that The Rock came in and started screwing with his storylines. Like, I could see Triple H, even though he's a professional, that would have to be frustrating. So I do wonder, like, what the deal is with those guys. But maybe one day we'll find out. Who knows? All right, guys, say yes to NoDQ.com. Much love and appreciation to you all. I'm out for the night. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.